Previously, a modern woman wakes up inside the body of Summer Vanderbilt, the doomed heroine of a romance novel where her new husband, Ryan Matthews, plans to kill her for her heart to save his lover, Chelsea. Instead of following the script, she publicly rejects Ryan at the wedding and goes on the run, outsmarting and provoking both him and Chelsea through car chases, manipulation, and physical confrontations. Between fending off Ryan's violent possessiveness, Chelsea's schemes, and unwanted advances from other men, she plots to expose Chelsea's fake illness and survive in a world where nearly everyone wants her dead. Just as the mother-daughter pair shut up, my dear father came out to make trouble. He was thinking about Chelsea threatening with her fake illness, so he issued orders to my stepmother. "Stepmom, please help me convince Dad that getting angry is bad for his health." I also learned to act like a green tea bitch, giving meaningful looks to my stepmother. Being blackmailed, she had no choice but to help smooth things over. "David, let's go tomorrow then." I went back to my room and slept like the dead. When I woke up, it was already noon the next day. I was so hungry I could have eaten a whole cow. Passing by the living room, I saw the black-faced family of 3. They all looked preoccupied, with the exhaustion of people who'd sat up all night on a train without closing their eyes. Rich people really have it good. Breakfast was a mix of Eastern and Western cuisine, over 20 dishes spread across the table. I ate heartily until my stomach hurt before stopping. Even better was yet to come. There were actually maids to style my hair and help me choose clothes. Looking at it this way, the female lead's suffering was all because of her own weakness. Dressed in a black and white princess dress with a black bow, I got into the extended Range Rover behind my dad's car. I knew this car was part of Ryan's bride price. Seeing Ryan again, his eyes flashed with murderous intent the moment he spotted me. He probably already knew I'd used Ethan to play him. "Son-in-law, it's all my daughter's fault. I've brought her here to apologize to you." As soon as my dad saw Ryan, he became servile without any dignity of an elder. Ryan didn't respond to him, just stared at me malevolently. "Fine, I forgive her." Ryan definitely wasn't being kind. He just wanted to trick me into coming back so he could take my heart to offer to his beloved. Son-in-law is so good-tempered. My father had nothing but harsh words for his kind daughter, but endless praise for this vicious son-in-law. I was disgusted. "Father-in-law, now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, leave her here and you can go." My dad looked like he'd just dropped a huge burden, grinning happily. Before leaving, he seemed to accept another check from Ryan. After Dad left, Ryan grabbed my throat. "Your dad's gone." Cough, cough, good riddance, that bastard who sells his daughter. Ryan was shocked that I'd curse my own father like that. His pupils showed surprise, but his grip didn't loosen at all. "Cry. Didn't you love using tears to deceive me? Cry for me." Looks like this guy really holds grudges. Having seen through my tricks, he looked especially angry. Being strangled to the point of suffocation, I struggled to spit out 2 words. Heart. Attack. As if waking from a dream, Ryan released me. I fell to the ground like a leaf, and excessive oxygen rushed into my chest. From coughing to dry heaving, I made a complete fool of myself in front of him. "Guards, lock her up." Suddenly, someone lifted me up. My legs had no strength. I'd been scared just now, though I hadn't been very frightened when he was choking me. Now I was having an aftershock of fear. After being dragged a few steps, I gathered my strength and made a dash for the coffee table, grabbing a fruit knife and holding it to my own throat. If I die, she'll die too. At the mention of my green tea sister, Ryan, that bastard, got nervous. He knew I was crazy enough to do it and immediately backed down. "Don't be impulsive." I definitely wouldn't actually commit suicide. I'm not that stupid. I just wanted to temporarily blackmail Ryan to buy time to find evidence of my sister's fake illness. "Good, then you have to listen to me." Obviously, Ryan was shocked again. He thought no one would dare order him around. He was very angry but didn't dare act on it. I was about to laugh at his rare range of facial expressions. Fine. Then tell me I'm beautiful. I was just saying something random to test him, but Ryan looked like he'd just eaten a fly, so uncomfortable he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. You're beautiful. The words were nice enough, but his tone sounded like he was cursing at me. No matter, as long as he was willing to obey. I lowered the knife from my throat. If you dare go back on your word, I'll make you regret it. When it came to Chelsea, Ryan apparently didn't like taking risks. He maintained a face like he'd just lost both parents. Fine. I immediately relaxed and started plotting how to mess with him. Suddenly, I remembered Ethan. Call Ethan over to apologize, compensate him, and then take him out for dinner. Ryan's eyes widened. He was definitely angry again. Though this heart was in my body, he would definitely comply obediently, but I didn't want to push him too hard either. Okay, fine, just dinner. I had a conscience too. Ethan had been used by me and suffered for no reason. I should at least show some appreciation. After negotiating, I went to rest first. Their newlywed bedroom bed was really comfortable, though the room's color scheme was too dark and gloomy. Ryan went to work, but before leaving, he instructed the servants to listen to me. So I called in decorators, and within a few hours, the bedroom was transformed into a pink princess room. It wasn't long after dark when I heard car sounds and knew Ryan was back from work. I quickly put on my pajamas and ran downstairs. Standing next to Ryan was the pitiful and helpless Ethan, sporting a bandaged face that looked like a pig's head. Ethan. Hearing my enthusiastic call, Ethan seemed quite frightened and kept hiding behind Ryan. A maid came to announce that dinner was ready, so we went to the dining room. To show my apologies, I deliberately sat next to Ethan. How's your injury? Ethan was much more polite with me. Mrs. Matthews, it's fine. While Ethan and I whispered together, Ryan's face looked terrible. The way he cut his steak looked more like he was cutting my head. I was being watched by Ryan now, so it wasn't convenient to act. To get evidence of Chelsea's fake illness, I could only rely on Ethan. After explaining my plan, Ethan agreed to help. I felt more guilty in my heart. I'm strapped for cash right now, but when I have money, I'll definitely compensate you properly. Worried about me implicating him, Ethan quickly explained, No need, Mr. Matthews just gave me $1 million. I was so poor it hurt. My small-minded peasant mentality kicked in as I shouted, $1 million? Maybe Ethan and I were chatting too intimately because Ryan didn't even let me finish eating. He picked me up like a flower pot, set me down, then hoisted me up again, carrying me all the way to the bedroom. He kicked open the door and saw the pink wonderland inside, plus a Hello Kitty doll that had rolled onto the floor. After thinking for a moment and confirming this was his bedroom, Ryan loosened his hands and I crashed to the ground with a thud. Ryan dropped me hard, then casually turned and walked away. I lay on the ground experiencing a few minutes of scene stars before half-dead crawling onto the bed. Though Ryan didn't come home all the next day, he treated me well like a pig being fattened for New Year's slaughter, constantly sending meals and snacks. I knew he was fattening me up, so that when he cut out my heart, it would be more vital. Right after lunch, I regretted it. I was still on the thin side, but if I ate for 2 more days, I'd probably reach the target weight. Survival was paramount, so I rushed to the bathroom and made myself throw up what I'd just eaten. As night fell, the creatures of darkness came out to play. Ryan and Chelsea, that pair of scum, appeared together as expected. I hadn't dared eat dinner and was lying half-dead on the leather sofa in the living room. Seeing them arrive, I immediately perked up with fake energy. Sister, brother-in-law, how about you two chat while I go out for some fresh air? Chelsea was so angry her cheeks puffed out as she put on a helpless act. Sister! How can you call Ryan brother-in-law? Isn't that insulting? Oh my, You two are force-feeding me dog food, showing off your love so blatantly. There's no need for me to be low-key anymore, right, brother-in-law? I loved seeing Ryan's constipated expression. He was uncomfortable with me but couldn't get rid of me. It was truly endearing. Ryan, look at her. Chelsea pinched her voice to sound tearful, stamping her foot and looking up at her lover Ryan with tears in her eyes. Good dogs don't block the way. Just as I was about to run, Ryan grabbed me, and several people in white coats emerged from behind him, dragging me and throwing me onto the sofa. My limbs were quickly tied up, leaving me completely immobilized. A wave of terror washed over me. Ryan Matthews, spare my life. This isn't a sterile environment, it's not suitable for surgery. Ryan stared at me with murderous intent while Chelsea clung to his side like a delicate bird. Ryan, isn't this too cruel? She deserves it. Calling Ryan a bastard was an insult to dogs. He was a murderer. I couldn't believe someone capable of this didn't have a criminal record. Images flashed through my mind, murder and body disposal, or maybe after he dug out my heart, he'd chop up the rest of me to make dumplings. Help! Live dissection. The doctor was putting on gloves. I screamed in terror. I was scared of pain, even getting my eyelids done, and this was cutting open my chest. The green tea bitch probably found my screaming annoying. Hugging Ryan's arm, she trembled and started acting cute. Ryan, I'm so scared. I was about to explode with rage. Screw you. You're scared? I'm the one who should be scared. Why don't you take my place? Seeing that I'd upset his precious, Ryan immediately said viciously, "Shut her up. You two let me go, or I'll haunt you both as a ghost. Get on with it. Ryan, you're a complete idiot with shit for brains. Chelsea is lying to you, she's not even sick." My arm suddenly stung. My tongue stopped obeying me, then everything went black as I passed out. Summer, wake up. Such a pleasant female voice, maybe it's an angel. Good thing I'm dead. The paper people in this book are all scheming in their own ways. Wake up. I opened my eyes and saw Chelsea's enlarged face. I immediately shut them again, muttering to myself. It must be a nightmare. Sister, you're finally awake. That sedative was really strong, you've been asleep for almost half an hour. Seemed like there was no escaping it. I reluctantly opened my eyes and first looked down at my chest. Thankfully, no incisions. Don't worry, it was just a physical examination. The surgery will be in a few days. I breathed a sigh of relief, then tried to move but found my limbs were still tied up. I rolled my eyes. Please, before you pretend to be my sweet sister, could you untie me first? Chelsea's voice had been gentle just now, but suddenly turned cold, like ice water poured over my head. Can't do that. I looked around. I was still lying on the sofa, but only the two of us were left in the living room. Chelsea, I know you want me dead. Can't I just disappear? As long as you let me go, I'll immediately sign papers giving up my inheritance and disappear somewhere you'll never see me. Chelsea's face turned vicious. I thought she was even scarier than Ryan, so I decided to submit temporarily. Chelsea laughed coldly like a witch. Too late, Summer. If only you'd had this awareness before, why make me work so hard? I didn't quite understand, so I tried to reason with her. It's not too late. I'll definitely keep my word. Since we can solve this peacefully, why make it bloody? As soon as I finished speaking, I felt something cold against my face. Looking sideways, I saw Chelsea holding a knife to my face. Hey, don't do that. If your hand slips, I'll be disfigured. She actually started crying, looking quite heartbroken. Don't talk to me about sisterly love. If you really saw me as your sister, you wouldn't have treated me like that. I was too scared to think straight, but I tried hard to remember if I'd missed any details when reading the book. Had the female lead actually hurt this green tea girl? Chelsea, calm down. Put the knife away first. Chelsea suddenly cried with her whole face contorted. I hate you. Did I dig up her ancestral grave or something? Wait, we share the same ancestors, and I don't have that hobby anyway. I swear, I never hurt you. Shut up. You seduced Ryan. You two already slept together, didn't you? Hearing her hysterical scream, I felt like thunder had exploded in the sky. This green tea girl must have had blood for breakfast today. Actually, we were husband and wife. Wasn't it normal that we slept together? What was this mistress crying about? This. Don't try to lie. I could tell when the doctor tried to undress you and Ryan got upset. If it wasn't from this green tea girl's mouth, I wouldn't have believed it. Ryan actually protected me? What does that have to do with whether we slept together or not? Chelsea was furious, her face badly distorted. He sent the doctor to the hospital. That's great, saved on transportation costs. How dare you make light of this? Chelsea swung the knife. I instinctively dodged, but couldn't avoid it completely. I felt a sharp pain in my ear and screamed. Ah! I thought I was smart enough, that my silver tongue could turn any situation around, but Chelsea wasn't falling for any of it. With this one cut, Chelsea made me scream like a slaughtered pig. She was trying to disfigure me, but I could only move my head while everything else was immobilized. I was completely at her mercy. Help! Ryan, come save me! I don't know why, but maybe because Ryan was the male lead of this book, in my most desperate moment, I suddenly started screaming his name. At least it was better than praying to God. Stop screaming. He went out. For the next cut, I resigned myself and closed my eyes, but Chelsea cut the rope on my hands instead, then stood there laughing coldly at me. I quickly untied my other hand and the ropes on my feet, then ran outside like lightning. Chelsea remained standing in place, her smile resembling something from a horror movie. With a clatter, Chelsea dropped the knife. I touched my ear, my hand came away covered in sticky red blood. You're finished. I'm going to report you. I turned to run but crashed into a chest as hard as iron. Looking up, I saw Ryan's grim face. I couldn't tell if he was friend or foe, so I tried to go around him, but he reached out and grabbed me. Ryan, I know you're domineering and cold, but you're not a psychopath. You wouldn't really kill someone, would you? Chelsea's gone crazy, please stay rational. Behind us, Chelsea had already composed herself and now wore a panicked, helpless expression. Ryan, what should we do? Sister used what happened between you two to provoke me, and I accidentally hurt her. Sob, sob, sob. More crying. I was so sick of it. With blood streaming down my face, I didn't have the energy to compete with her acting skills. Ryan grabbed my wrist and walked over. His hand was also stained with my blood. I felt like I was about to be silenced, my heart beat louder than drums. Don't. Please, I promise I won't say anything. Please let me go. Ryan walked up to Chelsea, his tone as gentle as always. Chelsea, don't be afraid. Nothing will happen. I'll have the driver take you home first. Chelsea nodded, and before leaving, she secretly flashed me a sinister smile. Ryan carried me upstairs bridal style. The dripping blood bloomed like demonic flowers along our path. I sat on our newlywed bed, huddled in a corner, timidly watching Ryan standing in front of me. The blood had stained my new pink bedsheets. Ryan, I'm in so much pain. I used to think they were all just fictional characters, so I could mess with them carelessly. But now the threat to my life was real, and all that pain was bone-deep reality too. Seeing my gruesome, terrifying wound, he seemed to suddenly come to his senses, frantically searching for gauze and clumsily wrapping it around me, then helping to press on my wound. I was so moved, at least Ryan was helping me. From when I'd known him until now, this was the first time I felt any kindness from him. The doctor will be here soon. I had scared myself badly just now, and hearing his promise, I burst into tears. Wah, 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 I lost so much blood. I'm definitely going to die. I was terrified, the fear of death making my hands and feet ice cold. Ryan's little bit of warmth couldn't warm me at all. You won't die. If you died, what would happen to Chelsea? My crying stopped abruptly. I thought, Ryan, please be human. The family doctor arrived quickly and told me to breathe deeply before giving me anesthesia. I had the misfortune of seeing the needle so long and gleaming coldly. Ryan, who was watching with an icy expression, glared at me when I called his name, wanting me to behave. I'm scared. Come here. I'd been most afraid of injections since childhood. Even though Ryan and I had a blood feud, in this critical moment I had no choice but to rely on him. Ryan clearly didn't want to indulge my dramatics and turned to leave. Afraid I couldn't coax him back, I resorted to cursing. If you leave, may you be cursed with no descendants. Ryan turned around and came back with his long legs. He obviously wanted to beat me up, but seeing my half-face covered in blood, he seemed to consider where to strike. I took the opportunity to grab his pants and enthusiastically motioned for him to sit beside me. Sit here and keep me company. Seeing that I'd nearly pulled his pants off, he had no choice but to sit properly. I took the chance to grab his hand. Mine was smaller, so I could only hold 3 of his fingers, making his articulated large hand look like a chicken claw. Ah. When the anesthesia went into my body, sharp pain shot through me and I screamed. You're too loud. Ryan was still complaining about me at a time like this. The injury I'd received was because of his precious lover. The anesthesia took effect, and during the stitching, I maintained a cold expression while plotting in my mind how to stab a few holes in Chelsea's body in return. The wound was deep, but fortunately not long. The stitching took about 10 minutes, and bandaging was even quicker. After it was over, Ryan's hand was covered in my sweat. He pulled away in disgust, took out a handkerchief to wipe it, then threw the handkerchief away. Remember, stay away from Chelsea from now on. I regretted it. If I'd known they both had murderous intent, I shouldn't have played weak. I should have fought them head on. How about tomorrow you let Chelsea come over? I want to apologize to her in person. Maybe knowing I was full of tricks, Ryan looked wary. No need. You just focus on recovering so we can do the surgery sooner. Ryan was back to talking nonsense. Anyway, we were heading toward death. I decided to go all out. Yes, I accept my fate. But I'm afraid Chelsea won't be happy, and my remaining days will be difficult. I just want to make amends. Ryan's eyes held deep coldness as he looked at me suspiciously, then left without saying anything. I slept until the middle of the night, when the anesthesia wore off. The pain made me cry constantly. I hate being wronged, and even if it costs me my life, I absolutely must get revenge. The next evening, Ryan brought Chelsea over. Chelsea still wore that innocent expression like the whole world was persecuting her. Sister, you wanted to apologize to me? Seeing her made my teeth ache with hatred. I got up from the sofa, trying hard to control my facial expression to show remorse. Yes, I really regret it. I walked over barefoot, not caring how cold the floor was. Feeling Chelsea's contemptuous gaze, I stopped in front of her. I regret not killing you. Right in front of Ryan, while they were off guard, I grabbed Chelsea's hair with my left hand and slapped her hard with my right. Chelsea let out an ear-piercing scream like a cat in heat when I slapped her hard. Ryan grabbed me and lifted me off the ground. He seemed about to hit me, but I bit down hard on his arm. I used all my strength in that bite, and my mouth filled with the taste of blood. She's crazy. Ryan, be careful, Summer's gone crazy again. Chelsea hid behind Ryan, covering her swollen face and screaming frantically as if she'd discovered a new continent. Ryan seemed immune to pain. Despite my vicious bite, he didn't even frown, just flung me away with his hand. I slid far across the floor and ended up face-planting, knocking over a trash can in my attempt to protect my wound, spilling garbage everywhere. Ryan, she hit me! It hurts so much, you have to protect me. Obviously, one slap from me wasn't enough, and Ryan's retaliation was too light for Chelsea's liking. She was unsatisfied and desperately tried to fan the flames. My heart was full of rage. Looking at Chelsea's troublemaking mouth, I had only one thought: make her shut up. I tried to get up and suddenly felt something in my hand. Looking down, I saw an empty syringe from yesterday's treatment that had been knocked out of the trash can. I quietly gripped the syringe. While Ryan was comforting Chelsea, I quickly circled around and jabbed the needle into Chelsea's shoulder, then yanked it out. Ah! Blood seemed to spray out as Chelsea's whole face contorted in pain and she screamed loudly. Chelsea, you better remember this: if you dare mess with me again, I'll kill you. Maybe it was the bloody syringe in my hand and the killer's evil gleam in my eyes that made even Ryan stare at me in shock for several seconds. I was prepared for him to kill me to protect his beloved woman, but he didn't move. Blood. I'm bleeding. Chelsea touched her wound and fainted at the sight of blood. Ryan picked her up and hurried away. I gasped heavily, and the resentment that had been building in my heart finally dissipated. The moment my lips curved into a smile, tears also sprang from my eyes. Ryan didn't come back until dinner time. Not only did I eat well, I also slept well. It was storming hard at midnight when Ryan finally returned. When I woke up, thinking I was hugging my Hello Kitty doll, I opened my eyes to find it was Ryan's strong arm. My nostrils were filled with his unique scent. What are you doing? He'd only slept a few hours. When he opened his eyes, his double eyelids were layered, making his eyes look bigger than usual. With his hair falling softly down, compared to his usual coldness, he actually looked kind of cute. This is my bedroom. Right, I remembered now. This was also my bedroom. This was our bridal suite, just redecorated by me in girlish pink. But wait, I'd just seriously injured Chelsea. He should have killed me while I was sleeping. Why was he here sharing a bed with me instead? You don't want to make up with me, do you? Don't even think about it. Something was definitely fishy. I immediately got up, grabbed a nearby doll to hold, and quickly retreated to a corner of the bed, trying to stay as far from him as possible. Ryan rolled over, seemingly ready to continue sleeping, and casually tossed me a line. Summer Vanderbilt, you're free. It must be that my actions scared Ryan enough that he was afraid of me. I wouldn't eat properly, and I had violent tendencies. Chelsea's plan to get my heart became increasingly distant. So he temporarily gave me freedom, wanting me to relax and happily recover my health before pushing me onto the operating table. I was clear about everything. Time was running short, so I immediately contacted Ethan to ask about the evidence he'd been gathering. Ethan had been beaten by Ryan and was too scared to show his face, but he gave me an address and told me to find his brother. Enchantment Club. I read the name on the address aloud, thinking this didn't sound like a place for decent people, but for my survival, I had to bite the bullet. It was nearly dark when I arrived. No wonder they built it in the middle of nowhere, all ghostly and eerie. After I went in, a model-figured beautiful woman came over. You must be Miss Vanderbilt. Follow me. Yes. Wearing a white t-shirt and jeans with a backpack, walking behind her, I looked like a beggar. After twisting and turning, she finally brought me to a private room where a man in a suit with gold-rimmed glasses sat looking like a refined scoundrel. A student. No. I looked around and moved a few steps to find the light switch. Click, I turned on the lights. Too dark. It's hurting my eyes. Caught off guard, he raised his hand to shield his eyes. When the light hit his face, I was stunned. What a pretty boy, big droopy eyes, red lips, white teeth. He was so handsome I wanted to curse. Miss Vanderbilt, I've looked into what you requested. More than his stunning beauty, I loved his excellent efficiency. As long as I got the evidence, I could have a happy ending. Thanks, bro. I didn't know his name and didn't plan to ask. This person wasn't mentioned in the book, probably just a tool character to complete tasks. If such a minor character had a name like Big Steve or something, it would be quite disillusioning. I'd just call him bro, like Ethan seemed more affectionate. However, I spent $1 million. You need to pay. What the hell? The author of this book must be brain dead. Why is it always $1 million here? Must be written by an elementary school student. But after insulting the author, I suddenly realized this guy might be a scammer. Bro, I've never heard Ethan mention you before. What do you do? I'm a psychologist. How dare he lie? Even if psychologists are wealthy now, they can't just casually throw around that much money. Did he really think I was an idiot? Oh, I just remembered I have something to do. Bro, I'll go first. I opened the door and walked normally for 2 steps, then started running like crazy and rushed out in a flash. The sky outside was pitch black. I ran from the club and kept running frantically for about 10 more minutes before stopping. I'd taken a taxi here, and now the area was dead silent. Not daring to wander around, I wanted to call for help but didn't know who to call. Because of this potential scammer bro, I was even suspicious of Ethan now. A few minutes later, I suddenly heard car sounds and immediately tried to hide by the roadside. A beam of white light hit me, and the car came straight at me. I was so scared I couldn't move, but before losing consciousness, I saw Ryan's face. The bone-crushing pain I'd imagined never came. After a sharp screech of brakes, the car stopped and Ryan scooped me up and threw me inside. Who was that man? He pressed down on me with overwhelming pressure. I sat in the passenger seat, having just fastened my seatbelt, still in a daze. A scammer. I thought once I explained, his anger would subside somewhat, but his face got even darker. Did he scam your feelings or your body? He was insulting me. I snapped out of my fear of almost being hit and glared at him angrily. What kind of nonsense is that? We just met today. What does he do? Ryan seemed quite interested in my private life, but I had nothing to hide. I had a clear conscience. Claims to be a psychologist. Ryan fell silent first, then suddenly threw the car in reverse. I was so scared, I bit my lip. He was inexplicably angry. I was clearly the victim here. After driving for about 10 minutes, I wanted to throw up 3 or 4 times. He was driving way too fast. Ryan, what's wrong with you? Can you slow down? The more I yelled at him, the faster he drove. I desperately covered my mouth while my stomach churned. On the deserted road with dim streetlights, a large truck suddenly charged out from the opposite direction. Ryan couldn't brake in time and had to quickly turn the wheel right. Everything happened in an instant. With a bang, the car went straight into the woods and crashed into a tree. The airbags deployed simultaneously. My ears rang for a few seconds before I gradually regained consciousness. I quickly checked myself, fortunately no injuries, though the gauze on my wound had come loose. Ryan, are you sick? If you want to die, don't drag me with you. Having just had 2 close encounters with death, I was scared out of my mind. My whole body was shaking and I had no strength, tears streaming as I cursed Ryan. Ryan woke up, glanced at me, then unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car. I was terrified. Faced with life and death, all I wanted was to live, but my legs were cramping badly and I couldn't get up. Would this car explode? Accompanied by the constant fear of being blown to smithereens, I cried loudly. At the peak of my terror, the car door opened and Ryan lifted me out. In that moment, he seemed bathed in holy light. I kept cursing him verbally, but my hands couldn't help wrapping around his neck. Go call for rescue. Ryan held me and carried me away from the accident site, about 50 meters or so, then set me down by a tree where I could lean against it. Rescue will be here soon. I'd been too busy crying to look at him properly. Hearing him speak, I looked up and saw blood flowing from his forehead. Although Ryan and I were enemies, in this life-or-death moment, he hadn't abandoned me. I felt somewhat moved. Are you okay? I stood on my tiptoes, wanting to check if he'd cracked his skull, but Ryan stood straight and tall in his usual proud manner, refusing to lower his head to cooperate. Hey! You're bleeding, bend down so I can see. I was impatient and grabbed his arm, but he seemed distracted and said strange things. That man neutralized all the bodyguards I sent. He can't possibly be just a simple psychologist. I looked completely confused. You're jumping topics. Wasn't this what we were just talking about? Tell me. Who is he? Ryan suddenly yelled at me. I could see his eyes were bloodshot. He was serious now. Just Ethan's brother. He tried to scam my money. What's your relationship with him? He was questioning me like a real husband, but he looked like a demon, so I didn't dare challenge him. No relationship at all. Just met him, don't even know his name. If you want, you can ask him yourself. Ryan's right hand moved to my neck, his thumb stroking close to my unhealed wound. As someone who just experienced life and death, I was especially timid. I'm not lying. I looked at him pitifully, reaching out with both hands to hold his left hand pleadingly, hoping he'd spare my little life. Ryan's hand slid to the back of my neck. I looked at him in surprise as his overwhelming kiss crashed down on me. I didn't dare dodge. Ryan was radiating murderous energy if I resisted. He could easily snap my neck. After Ryan finished kissing me, he finally leaned down and pressed his forehead against mine. I don't care who that man is. If I catch you meeting with him again, I'll kill you both. I was full of question marks. What was wrong with him? Why was he suddenly acting like a domineering CEO with me? Had he hit his head and mistaken me for Chelsea? Ryan's forehead was burning hot. His weight suddenly leaned on me. There was no way I could support such a tall guy. Hey, Ryan, enough already. Stop trying to take advantage of me. Before I could finish speaking, he collapsed like he'd lost control. Luckily, I was quick and grabbed his arm, using the leverage to let him lean against the tree and sit down. Ryan's eyes were closed, his eyelashes longer than most women's. I didn't have time to admire his beauty and quickly found the head wound. It looked pretty scary. Ryan, it's not too bad. Just hang in there. Fortunately, I was wearing long sleeves today. I bit a small hole with my teeth, then tore off a long strip of fabric. I checked Ryan's wound for foreign objects, then used the fabric to wrap his head several times and pressed on the wound to stop the bleeding. Summer Vanderbilt. Ryan was semi-conscious, softly calling my name. This usually arrogant man was triggering my protective instincts right now. Don't be afraid. I won't let anything happen to you. I'd been afraid of the dark forest since childhood. Compared to the smoking car not far away, the strange sounds from unknown creatures in the surrounding woods were even more terrifying. Ryan, wake up. I think there are ghosts in these woods. Ryan suddenly hugged my waist, pressing his whole face against my chest. If I couldn't see he was injured, I might have slapped him to death. Don't sleep. I was actually more afraid of him dying. Despite my harsh words, I was fundamentally a kind person and hadn't thought about how his death would save my heart. Summer Vanderbilt. Ryan seemed like he was dying, as if he wanted to give me his last words. I could only put my ear close to his mouth. You have to save Chelsea. Even dying, he was still thinking about that green tea bitch. I pushed him away. Save her yourself. Go die. Ryan didn't die. I attributed it to the expensive car's high safety features and his subordinates arriving in time. Anyway, evil truly does live for 1,000 years. But I wasn't entirely without gains. During Ryan's semi-conscious state, I caught on that he protected Chelsea so much because Chelsea had been lying through her teeth. She'd fabricated lies about me bullying her since childhood, causing Ryan to have serious prejudices against me. I really wanted to tear off that green tea bitch's fake mask. Actually, I was quite the troublemaker too. Because of my appearance, Ryan, Chelsea, and I all ended up in the hospital together. I'd asked the nurse Chelsea was fine. The needle I'd stabbed her with had been used and was already dull. Chelsea was probably in Ryan's hospital room being all lovey-dovey right now. I was all alone. My parents didn't even come to see their injured daughter, which made me feel rather desolate. Summer Vanderbilt. Seeing Ethan come in with fruit, I felt like I was seeing family and immediately waved enthusiastically. Ethan, I'm over here. Although Ethan's brother was a big scammer, I thought Ethan was a good guy. He seemed silly but sweet, and he even peeled apple skins without breaking them. Is he really your brother? I took a crisp bite of apple, looking lively and not at all like someone who was injured. Yeah, handsome, right? I was a bit hesitant about whether to tell him his brother had just tried to extort $1 million from me. Not bad. Is he really a psychologist? Yeah, my brother's a professor. We have tons of thank you banners from patients at home. I couldn't help but start doubting myself. Maybe the handsome brother was just joking with me, and I'd reacted like an idiot and run away. Seeing I didn't quite believe him, Ethan pulled out his phone and showed me a photo of his brother standing next to thank you banners, proudly showing it off. I zoomed in. It didn't look photoshopped. Seems like I'd judged a gentleman with a petty person's heart. Oh, I was quite rude last night. Please apologize to your brother for me. Too bad. If it weren't for your dad being greedy for money, you could have been my sister-in-law. I looked shocked. There was nothing about this in the book. Ethan was just cannon fodder, and his brother didn't even exist. How was he suddenly giving himself more scenes? Okay, let's not talk about that. Your brother said he got evidence. Can you help me ask if it's real? He said not to let me get involved. The big brother was being too mysterious. I was confused. While we were chatting, Ryan's bodyguards kicked in the door and dragged Ethan out. I followed in my hospital gown but was blocked by bodyguards before I could leave the room. Sir said the missus cannot go out. Couldn't Ryan's attention be fully occupied by his lovey-dovey time with Chelsea? Why was he still managing me? Unable to get out, I ran to the window to look. In moments, Ethan was beaten down, surrounded by several bodyguards. Where's Ryan? Tell him to stop. I'd just eaten the apple Ethan brought me. I couldn't just ignore his fate. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to me, no matter how much I shouted. I could only watch helplessly as Ethan was carried away. I couldn't do anything. After eating, I could only sleep. When I woke up, it was evening outside with beautiful sunset clouds in orange tones. I was thirsty and about to get up for water when suddenly the hospital room door opened and several unfamiliar men carried me outside. Don't shout, we're here to save you. In my panic, I glanced at the men carrying me. They looked like professional bodyguards from foreign action movies, very intimidating. I decided not to make a scene. After leaving the hospital, I was stuffed into a luxury car. My heart was racing, but I was relieved to see a familiar face. Oliver? Seeing me again, he smiled and adjusted his glasses, looking like the most upstanding person in the world. Summer, have you thought it over? I scratched my head awkwardly. Bro, $1 million, I really can't come up with that much. If you don't have money, you could consider repaying with your body. I was shocked by his words. This was definitely not something a psychologist should say, more like a mental patient. Oliver, that's not appropriate. Doctor in 2. William still had that gentle demeanor, like he was guiding a lost lamb. If he suddenly pulled out a Bible to preach to me, I wouldn't be surprised. Summer, I heard from Ethan that your husband is having an affair. I quite like you. Emotions can't be forced. You could be with me. This Ethan really had a big mouth, telling a stranger about my private life. Summer? Seeing me space out, he called my name again. I'm sorry, Oliver. You are quite handsome, but my husband is too brutal. I don't want to drag you into this. This Oliver must have been made stupid by too much teaching. Being so direct about pursuing a married woman made me question his mental state. Don't worry. Since I want you, I'm confident I can handle it. I thought you're a poor doctor. With what confidence? Ryan has money, power, and is ruthless. He could destroy your reputation in minutes. Oliver, I should go back. Thank you for wanting to save me, but I can't go with you. I opened the door to get out, but his iron grip caught my wrist. Don't leave. You belong to me now. I'd had enough of him. From when we met until now, he'd been acting so dramatically that I suspected he was a mental patient who'd escaped. I'm being polite because you're Ethan's brother, but let me be blunt, Oliver. You can't beat my husband. He should have been angry, but instead he looked at me and smiled faintly. Is that so? Let go quickly. If he finds out, we really could end up buried together. He pulled me into his arms and ordered the driver in a deep voice, drive. The car started moving. The more I thought about it, the more wrong this seemed. Regardless of whether he was a psychologist or had psychological problems, he couldn't afford a Bugatti. This car cost over $100 million. A few minutes later, a high-speed chase began. 4 cars were rapidly approaching from behind with plans to surround us. Having just been in a car accident yesterday, I started feeling dizzy as soon as the car accelerated. I could only lean against Oliver's chest. Summer, I'm very satisfied. You're quite obedient. He thought I was throwing myself into his arms. Oliver was getting dramatic again, unbelievable. Oliver, we're practically family now. Can you tell me why you suddenly said you wanted to be with me? Ryan hit my little brother. Of course I have to steal his things. Just hearing Oliver's explanation, suddenly a car appeared in front of us. Our car was forced to stop. Through the rear mirror, I saw Ryan get out of the car right behind us. Oh my God! My husband's here, Oliver, run! His car was already surrounded on all sides. There was no escape. I'd fall into Ryan's hands and surely die, so I didn't want to drag another person down with me. Summer, at a time like this, it seems you really do love me. What was he even talking about? With Ryan about to come over, I frantically tried to explain to Oliver. Bro, you're like family to me. Even if you're getting revenge on Ryan, you should be going after my sister Chelsea, not me. He smiled warmly and held me as he opened the car door and got out. Seeing our intimate position, Ryan's whole body radiated a green glow. The fire in his eyes nearly set us both ablaze. Summer Vanderbilt, come here. Ryan was ordering me. I was terrified of him, so I prepared to break free from Oliver's embrace and go over, but I couldn't move. She doesn't want to. Oliver made the decision for me and held me even tighter. Let her go. Ryan's eyes were blood red this time, directed at Oliver. My facial muscles were a bit stiff from being scared by them both. You two stop fighting. 2 men fighting over 1 woman is too melodramatic. This isn't a movie. Don't accidentally hurt me in the crossfire. Oliver touched the gauze on my face, seeming to secure it better. Take good care of yourself. As he spoke softly, He seemed to kiss my ear, then got in his car and left. I was in for a world of trouble. Disaster struck. My arm was grabbed painfully by Ryan as he practically dragged me to the car and roughly threw me onto the seat. I felt like he'd broken my ribs. I was the victim here. Why was he taking it out on me? We really had nothing going on. He didn't say a word, head down so I couldn't see his expression. This was the first time I'd seen him react like this since meeting him. The whole ride was silent. He pulled me back home, then dragged me upstairs. No matter how I explained or protested, he acted like he couldn't hear me. I was thrown into the bathroom, then he turned on the shower head and started spraying water all over me. This sudden assault left my brain in a fog. I accidentally drank some bathwater and choked, coughing violently. Cough, 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 let me go. I'd started with plenty of energy, but now had no strength left. He'd turned the water pressure to maximum. I couldn't even stand steady and could only grab onto his arm. Ryan's white shirt clung to his arm, a bit slippery, so I couldn't get a good grip and had to use more force. He suddenly pressed me against the wall. I could feel the cold surface against my back, but I no longer had the strength to struggle. So dirty. He spat out these two words at me viciously. Because I was forced to look up, water sprayed into my ears. That feeling was extremely uncomfortable. My head was spinning, and even leaning against the wall, I couldn't stand steady. So I could only grab onto the last straw like a drowning person and wrapped my arms around his waist. Thank goodness for Ryan's abs, they saved me. Otherwise, I couldn't have stayed upright at all. The water finally stopped. I tilted my head trying to get the water out of my ears, but he grabbed my throat. I was forced to look up at him. He first stared viciously into my eyes, then his gaze moved downward. I realized I was soaked through even the shape of my underwear was visible. Afraid of being seen, I quickly covered myself. Don't look. Ryan smirked wickedly. You're already so dirty. Are you still afraid of me looking? I'd been powerless to fight back just now because I had no choice, but now he dared insult me. My little temper flared up. You're the dirty one. I'm pure as snow. If anything's dirty, it's from being touched by you. Ryan wouldn't listen to anything I said. His hand gripped my neck tightly. I told you, if you met with that man again, you'd both die. Die? I thought Ryan was just talking tough before, but now his expression was more crazed than a killer's. He seemed serious about murder. He wouldn't drown me in this bathroom, would he? I'd already experienced that suffocating feeling and was terrified. Ryan, calm down. I was kidnapped by him. It was abduction. I finally remembered the key point I should have mentioned from the start. He forced you? Ryan seemed less agitated. I quickly explained, yes, you're so wise and powerful, that's exactly what happened. I don't believe you. He got angry again and pressed me against the wall. The impact made my internal organs feel like they were falling out. It hurts. My wound got wet, it'll get infected. Actually, my wound was well wrapped with waterproof gauze, and I didn't feel any pain. But I had to learn from Chelsea and play pitiful. He glanced at where my wound was and suddenly picked me up, carrying me to the bedroom and setting me on the bed. He seemed somewhat gentle as he checked my wound. I took the opportunity to pull the blanket over myself. The gauze inside wasn't wet. He looked annoyed at being tricked and pulled away the blanket covering me, then basically ripped off my clothes in 2 moves. What are you doing? I was tongue-tied, my face redder than a cooked shrimp. Your clothes are wet. His voice was somewhat hoarse. Then he started undressing himself. After getting undressed, he pulled the blanket over both of us. Help! This guy had no self-control. I wasn't physically a match for him, and ultimately I lost. After this bastard finished taking advantage of me, he fell into a deep sleep. Fortunately, heaven has eyes. My wound hadn't gotten wet, but his wound became infected and he developed a fever, quite a high one. I took a shower, changed clothes, then went to eat. He lacked basic morality. It would be perfect if he died. After eating my fill, I thought I'd check on him. The doctor had already treated his wound and he was on an IV drip. Haha, what goes around comes around. I sat by the bed holding a stuffed animal, staring at him. I realized I was really kind. I was the one who noticed his fever and called the doctor. I was afraid he'd be embarrassed, so I even dressed him in pajamas, otherwise he'd still be naked. His hair wasn't dry yet and was messily stuck to his face. The more I looked, the more annoyed I got. I grabbed a hairdryer to dry it for him. Ryan had good hair quality, and he looked incredibly well behaved while sleeping. I squeezed his nose hard. He just made a small sound but didn't wake up. I was admiring Ryan's lips, which were prettier than most girls, when the butler came to comfort me. "Madam, the young master will be fine. You don't need to worry too much." I'm not worried. The butler ignored my feelings and, knowing I was resistant, still assigned me the task of caring for Ryan through the night. Of course, I called Chelsea. It took forever for someone to answer, and when I said Chelsea's name, a man's voice responded. "She's taking a shower." I was instantly stunned. "Who are you?" My blunt question seemed to scare the person, who hung up with a click. I sat on the bed, analyzing the situation. Chelsea was taking a shower with a man in her room who seemed very guilty. Oh my God, heaven has eyes. This was cause for celebration. Ryan was being cheated on. Water. Ryan woke up. Seeing him now, I had an extra filter of pity. Poor devoted man, reduced to being a cuckold. Just a moment. I helped Ryan sit up and watched him gulp down most of a glass of water. "You sleep. Don't worry about me." An inhuman thing occasionally saying something human made me a bit moved, plus knowing he was playing the role of a cuckold made me feel even more sorry for him. "Sleep then." Ryan quickly fell asleep again. I had to change his ice towels and watch the IV, forcing myself to stay awake. Staying up all night gave me unusually clear thoughts. Since Chelsea was fooling around outside, I should take this opportunity to get photographic evidence. After much deliberation, I used the bedroom landline to call Ethan. But Oliver answered, "We just separated and you're already missing me?" "Oliver, where's Ethan?" "I sent him abroad. I'll be using this number from now on." I didn't want to pry into family matters, so I shamelessly asked him, "My sister is currently with a man outside. Could you help me get photographic evidence?" "Sure." This time he didn't mention money, which was a relief. "Thank you, bro. Doing things for my woman is only natural." If Oliver wasn't so devastatingly handsome, I'd find these comments a bit sleazy. "Actually, if you call me husband, I'd be even more willing to help you." "Husband?" I accidentally shouted, then quickly lowered my voice. "Can't do it. Just teasing you." My voice was too loud and Ryan drowsily opened his eyes. "Who are you talking to?" I was done for. He definitely heard. I hung up the phone and put on a stiff, fake smile to save my life. "Just the two of us here, so of course, I was talking to you." "Summer Vanderbilt, you actually dare?" Ryan must have clearly heard the word husband and thought I was taking advantage of him while he had a fever. His face flushed as he scolded me. "Oops, I thought you were asleep." "Sorry, I won't dare offend your majesty again." Just then, the last IV bag finished. Before I could serve him, Ryan roughly yanked out the needle himself. I attended to him like a servant, disposing of the needle. When I returned after throwing away the garbage, he still wasn't asleep, looking at me listlessly. He seemed a bit pitiful being sick. Again, thinking about him being cheated on, I went to sit beside him and touched his forehead. "You still have a slight fever. Come sleep." He domineeringly gave orders. I didn't dare refuse, and I was really tired, so I crawled into the warm bed but was immediately pulled into his arms. Summer Vanderbilt, what did you call me just now? Say it again. No way the character Ryan in the book didn't like Summer Vanderbilt. How was he seemingly trying to seduce me now? Plus, that term of endearment was so cringeworthy I couldn't say it no matter how thick-skinned I was. Husband. I said it super fast, I couldn't even hear myself clearly. He was very unsatisfied and threatened me in a low voice. Summer Vanderbilt, do you want to die? Seeing our brief tender moment about to collapse, I could only properly call him husband. Wife. Something exploded in my head, probably my brain matter. He'd definitely fallen in love with me. Though I had no practical experience, I'd read thousands of novels. When a man calls a woman wife so tenderly, if that's not love, what is? I was stimulated to complete sleeplessness. Ryan, however, fell asleep peacefully. That little illness wouldn't fry his brain, would it? This was too abnormal. Oh my God, that affectionate wife made my heart race like crazy. What should I do? I was so excited I didn't fall asleep until dawn. When I woke up, it was already afternoon and Ryan was long gone. I immediately contacted Oliver to ask about the adultery investigation plan. I already got the evidence. As long as you go on a date with me, I'll give it to you. I no longer trusted him. Oliver, I've asked you to do 2 things total, and you haven't completed either one. Instead, you've been playing me like a fool. Summer, I swear on my life I'm not lying. People rarely actually get struck by lightning, so I found it unreliable. Don't you ever go to work? You're so bored, you're just messing with me. Your husband had my clinic smashed yesterday. I'm definitely unemployed now. Ryan was vindictive and had implicated Oliver. I felt quite guilty. I'm sorry about that. It's okay. Please trust me this once. I still went to the appointment. We met at the old place Enchantment Club. Seeing a stack of Chelsea's affair photos, my eyes nearly popped out. Good Lord, it was really passionate. Chelsea and her lover were making out all over the hotel room with quite a variety of positions. Oliver, you're amazing. I apologize, I was blind before and looked down on you. I was truly short-sighted. He was so capable and mysterious. He probably had evidence of Chelsea's fake heart disease too. As long as you're willing to marry me, I'll give you what you want. He wasn't just getting back at Ryan out of spite? He wouldn't really want to marry me, would he? Could I be the female lead who could cheat without logic? Oliver, I'd rather save up $1 million. I've been secretly in love with you for a long time. You've just changed, you used to be very gentle. You must have been tormented by Ryan. The original book never mentioned this. I didn't dare ask, but he loved the submissive Summer Vanderbilt, not me. I have to go. Getting the photos, I was ready to slap them in Chelsea's face. I couldn't wait to see her reaction. Just as I was about to leave, having reached the door, he suddenly said in a deep voice, "My name is Oliver Williams." I smiled with curved eyes, "Thank you, Oliver." Leaving the club, I rushed to the hospital. Chelsea was lying in bed pretending to be sick. After such wildness last night, she was back to playing the victim. Chelsea, you shouldn't stay in hotels without closing the curtains. When she saw me coming, she was about to say something nasty, but hearing this, her face turned a bit green. I threw several photos at her. Chelsea, you photograph quite well. You actually investigated me. I sat in the chair grandly. Don't be nervous. As long as you give me $2 million, I'll help you keep this secret. I'd calculated it all out, $1 million for Oliver to get evidence of Chelsea's fake illness, and my life would be saved. The other $1 million would be her compensation for bullying me. Finally becoming rich, I wanted to shop till I dropped. I'll give you the money. Chelsea had just agreed when she suddenly saw Ryan at the door and nearly had her soul scared out of her body. Ryan, let me explain. This is a misunderstanding. My $2 million wasn't secured yet and was already gone. My heart was in agony. When Ryan went over to look at the photos, I could feel he was very hurt, his whole body radiating an aura of dejection. Ryan, yesterday you abandoned me to chase after sister. I was confused for a moment and drank some alcohol. I was deceived. Chelsea held onto Ryan tightly. I should have left as the third wheel, but my heart felt very uncomfortable seeing her pressed so close to him. Let go of me. Ryan had witnessed evidence of his lover's betrayal firsthand and looked completely dispirited, his voice very low. This pair of scumbags should tear each other apart for my entertainment. One dead, one less to worry about. But why did I feel so sorry for Ryan? I won't let go. Ryan, forgive me. I promise I'll be obedient from now on and won't give anyone else a chance. The photos were crystal clear. My green tea sister definitely wasn't forced, she was enjoying herself thoroughly. Her blatant lies made me furious. Seeing Chelsea spouting nonsense and desperately clinging to Ryan, I couldn't stand it anymore. I shouted at the top of my lungs, "Chelsea, let go!" My voice was full of energy, shocking them both as they looked at me. I'm talking to you. Whose husband are you hugging, you shameless bitch? I just wanted to help Ryan vent his anger, but Chelsea got fired up. Ryan, look how sister is bullying me. Seeing her about to play tricks again, I beat her to the punch. Chelsea, if you have any shame at all, let go of your brother-in-law. Chelsea wasn't backing down. How we are is none of your business. Mind your own business. I took a big step toward Ryan and domineeringly snatched the photos, then ran to the door and raised my voice. Is there anyone here to judge this? A sister-in-law is seducing her brother-in-law. Chelsea has a messy private life. Come see her steamy hotel photos for free. Chelsea let go of Ryan and looked at him with tears streaming down her face. Ryan, don't abandon me. I grabbed Ryan and didn't give him a chance to hesitate. Using both hands to pull and push, I got him out of the hospital room. With his long legs, I couldn't keep up and had to jog alongside him all the way to barely make it to the car and sit beside him. Ryan, you two broke up, right? So there's no need to take my heart anymore. A woman like that isn't worth it. He didn't speak, but this concerned my life, so I needed to hear his personal promise. I started rambling about anything and everything. You don't need to thank me for today. I was just being a good Samaritan. Get out. His coldness extinguished my passion. My expression fell as I remembered him calling me wife when he was delirious with fever. My nose stung with emotion. Get lost. He'd been heartbroken, but I hadn't done anything wrong. I've never been good at holding back grievances. Ryan, you hit and scold me, but you won't even touch Chelsea when she cheats on you. You're just masochistic. You deserve it. This time, he didn't hit me or speak. With a cold face, he pushed me out of the car. I landed on my butt on the ground. He drove away, leaving me eating dust. I thought, I'm the masochistic one for giving you any sympathy, you bastard. Don't expect me to be nice to you ever again. I dusted off my butt and got up, walking along the hospital path. Within 10 minutes, someone covered my mouth and everything went black as I lost consciousness. I woke up in a small warehouse with my hands and feet tied with rope, my mouth dry and my whole body aching. Awake? It was Chelsea's sinister voice. My whole body shuddered. I just messed with her, and this woman was definitely going to get revenge. Let's talk nicely. Why tie people up? I was completely submissive. She hated me to the bone, and my ear wound hadn't even healed yet. I was really afraid she'd poke more holes in my body. Don't be hasty. The good show is just beginning. Chelsea clapped lightly and the broken door opened. A shabby-looking person stood in the doorway. "What do you want to do?" She crouched down and grabbed my chin. "I may be dirty, but from now on, you'll become unclean too." "Help." Realizing she wanted to use this vagrant to assault me, I screamed with all my might, like a chicken about to be slaughtered. Chelsea stood up laughing. "You can scream louder if you want. No one can hear you anyway." The vagrant drooled as he approached me. I struggled and screamed desperately while Chelsea watched with a cold, indifferent smile. "Chelsea!" It was Ryan's voice. He came. I knew he would definitely come save me. "You're here?" Chelsea's voice was decisive. "Why do you come so quickly when it involves my sister?" Ryan noticed the vagrant and looked at Chelsea in disbelief. "How can you do this?" "Save me, Ryan. Please, even if you don't like me, I'm still your wife." I was crying desperately. Ryan and Chelsea might be conspirators, but the original plot had changed. Ryan shouldn't be so heartless toward me. This was exactly what Chelsea wanted. She laughed coldly. "Ryan, I called you here to make a choice. Your behavior is despicable. Let her go." It had changed. The plot was truly not following the original story. Ryan was actually speaking up for me. Chelsea opened her hand, revealing several white pills in her palm. "Ryan, I have a heart condition and don't have long to live. If you choose Summer Vanderbilt, then I'll end it quickly right now." "Chelsea, stop this nonsense." "I'm not being dramatic. For someone whose days are numbered, what's there to fear about death?" Ryan hesitated. Indeed, when faced with a human life, my innocence wasn't worth much. I was afraid Ryan would choose Chelsea and desperately fought for myself. "Ryan, I like you. I'll be good to you. Let's live a good life together. Please don't let anyone hurt me, okay?" For self-preservation, I'd given up all dignity, praying in my heart that Ryan would remember our few moments of affection. Chelsea wasn't backing down either, crying pitifully. "Actually, I knew you'd changed your heart long ago. You've forgotten our past, haven't you?" Ryan was torn, staring hard at Chelsea. "You can't die, and I won't let you hurt Summer Vanderbilt either." "Really? I understand now. You've chosen her." "Chelsea, please." Ryan's voice softened with a pleading tone. It seemed I'd been overthinking. The person in his heart was still Chelsea. I should just accept my fate, but no. I was someone who'd read the original story. I was standing from God's perspective. I would definitely find a way. I suddenly grasped an important piece of information and had a flash of inspiration, shouting at the top of my lungs. "Ryan, don't believe her. Chelsea is lying through her teeth. She's been playing you." The two people in standoff were drawn to me, and I began my counterattack. "Ryan, your mother had an affair, right? You only told Chelsea because you trusted her, but she told me about it like it was a joke. She's been playing you all along." I remembered the original story mentioned that Ryan's mother had cheated, which was his greatest childhood trauma. Ryan had only told Chelsea about this. Chelsea looked shocked. "How do you know?" "I never told anyone." For self-preservation, I had no choice but to violate my principles as a person. "Chelsea, you also said Ryan's mother was dirty, that he probably wasn't even really a member of the Matthews family, but since he was rich, it didn't matter." Ryan looked thunderstruck, staring at Chelsea with hurt. "Chelsea, so this is what kind of person you are." "Ryan, I swear I never said that." "I don't know how she knows." "Chelsea, we're over. If you want to die, go ahead." I'd transmigrated into a book, something Chelsea could never figure out even if she thought until her head exploded. She was speechless, and Ryan came over to untie my ropes and lifted me up. He carried me to the car, then checked my hands and feet before looking up at me with concern in his eyes. "Does it still hurt?" No way Ryan wasn't an actor. He couldn't fake this kind of deep affection. "I'm fine." Ryan reached out and roughly tousled my hair, somewhat awkwardly. "You've been wronged." He seemed genuinely sorry for what I'd been through. I felt my heart soften despite everything. "You're right, I was weak. You're so powerful you could crush me with one finger. How would I dare play games?" Seeing that my performance satisfied him, Ryan relaxed his grip. I took the opportunity to step back and slowly move toward the door. "Then be smart and come back with me." I finally reached the door and tested it lightly. It wasn't locked. "Okay." We got in the car together. As Ryan drove, I couldn't help but steal glances at his profile. Despite everything we'd been through, I was starting to realize my feelings for him ran deeper than I'd admitted. "You know," I said quietly, "I meant what I said back there. About liking you." Ryan's hands tightened on the steering wheel, but he didn't respond immediately. "Ryan?" "I heard you," he said finally, his voice softer than usual. "But there's something you need to know first." He pulled over and turned to face me, his expression serious. "I've suspected Chelsea was lying about her condition for months. I was gathering evidence to expose her when you started acting differently at the wedding." My mouth fell open. "You knew?" "Not everything, but enough to know she was manipulating both of us." He reached over and gently touched my bandaged ear. "I'm sorry I let it go so far. I'm sorry I didn't protect you." For the first time since I'd arrived in this strange world, I felt like I could truly trust him. "So what happens now?" I asked. Ryan's lips curved into a small smile, the first genuine one I'd seen from him. "Now we make sure Chelsea never hurts anyone again. And then..." He paused, his eyes meeting mine. "Then we see if we can make this marriage real." My heart skipped a beat. Maybe, just maybe, this story would have a happy ending after all. "You really knew?" I stared at Ryan in disbelief. "Then why did you let her torture me?" Ryan's jaw clenched. I needed concrete proof. Chelsea's father has connections in the medical community, falsified records, bought testimonies. I had to catch her red-handed. "So I was bait?" "No." His voice was firm. "You were never supposed to get hurt. When you started fighting back at the wedding, everything changed. You threw off my timeline." I laughed bitterly. "Your timeline?" "Ryan, I almost died multiple times." "I know." He looked away, shame flickering across his features. "I underestimated how far she'd go. When she had you attacked by that vagrant." His hands balled into fists. "I wanted to kill her myself." A warm feeling spread through my chest, despite my anger. "But you didn't. Because you stopped me. You saved yourself." He turned back to me, admiration clear in his eyes. "The summer I married would never have had the courage to expose Chelsea like that. You're different." If only he knew how different. "Ryan, there's something I need to tell you too." I took a deep breath. "About Oliver Williams." His expression darkened immediately. "What about him?" "He's not just Ethan's brother. He's been manipulating this whole situation." I pulled out my phone, showing him the photos Oliver had given me. He orchestrated getting these pictures. He knew about Chelsea's affairs before any of us. Ryan studied the photos, his frown deepening. "These are professional quality. And the angles. Someone was watching her for weeks. He said he wanted revenge because you hurt Ethan, but I think there's more to it." I hesitated. He keeps insisting that I belong to him. It's like he's been planning this for a long time. "The Williams family," Ryan muttered, then his eyes widened. "Summer, do you know why your father really agreed to our marriage?" "The money?" "Partly. But there was another bidder." Ryan's voice grew grim. Oliver Williams made an offer for your hand first. Your father chose me because my offer was higher, but also because the Williams family has a reputation. My blood ran cold. What kind of reputation? They collect things. Rare art, vintage cars, beautiful women. Ryan's eyes met mine. Oliver's father was notorious for it. Had 3 wives who all mysteriously disappeared. And Oliver? He's been watching you for months, Summer. Even before our engagement was announced. I have security footage of him outside your college, your coffee shop, your gym. I felt sick. He's been stalking me? The question is why? What makes you so special to him? Ryan started the car again. We need to get somewhere safe while we figure this out. Where? My private estate outside the city. Oliver won't be able to find us there. He glanced at me as we drove. Summer, I need you to tell me everything about your interactions with him. Every conversation, every detail you can remember. As we drove toward the estate, I recounted every encounter with Oliver. Ryan's expression grew darker with each detail. He's been playing a long game, Ryan concluded. Chelsea was just a pawn. Getting rid of her clears the way for him to claim you. But why me specifically? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. I think I know, but you're not going to like it. Tell me. Your mother. She was supposed to marry Oliver's father 30 years ago, but she ran away and married your father instead. Ryan's voice was gentle. Oliver might see you as completing some kind of family legacy. My head spun. That's insane. Obsession often is. Ryan pulled through a set of iron gates toward a sprawling mansion. But we're going to end this. Tonight. As we approached the house, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You can't hide from me forever, Summer. We're destined to be together, just like our parents should have been. Oh, Ryan saw my face pale as I read it. What? I showed him the message. His expression turned murderous. How did he get your new number? I don't know. I stopped. Ryan, I don't think we're as safe as you thought. That's when we saw them. Black SUVs emerging from behind the trees, surrounding the driveway. Oliver's men. Hold on, Ryan said grimly, throwing the car in reverse. But it was too late. More vehicles appeared behind us, boxing us in completely. Oliver Williams stepped out of the lead SUV, looking impeccably dressed and completely calm. He walked toward our car with a confident smile. Time's up, he called out. Summer, come out willingly and Ryan doesn't have to get hurt. Ryan reached for something under his seat, a gun. Summer, when I say run, you head for the woods behind the house. There's a safe room in the old groundskeeper's cottage. I'm not leaving you. You have to. This was always about you. He squeezed my hand. I should have told you this before, but I love you. The real you. Whatever made you change, whatever made you fight back, I love that woman. My heart broke and soared at the same time. Ryan, run. He kicked open his door and dove out, gun drawn. Gunshots erupted around us. I ran. The woods behind Ryan's estate were dense and dark, even in the afternoon light. I crashed through underbrush, branches tearing at my clothes, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Behind me, I could hear shouting and more gunshots. Was Ryan okay? The thought of him hurt made my chest ache, but I forced myself to keep running. He'd told me to get to safety, and that's what I had to do. The groundskeeper's cottage emerged from the trees like something from a fairy tale, ivy-covered stone walls and a red tile roof. I burst through the unlocked door and frantically searched for the safe room Ryan had mentioned. There, behind a bookshelf that swung away when I pulled on a specific leather-bound volume. The hidden room was small but well stocked with water, food, and communication equipment. I grabbed the radio and tried to reach Ryan. Static. My hands shook as I attempted to call 911, but my phone showed no signal. Of course, Oliver would have jammed communications. A soft knock on the cottage's front door made me freeze. Summer? Oliver's voice drifted through the walls, cultured and calm. I know you're in there. Your tracks in the mud were quite easy to follow. I pressed myself against the safe room wall, hardly daring to breathe. I'm not going to hurt you, he continued. I just want to talk. There's so much you don't understand about your family, about why we're connected. The front door creaked open. He was inside. Your mother, Sarah, was extraordinary. Just like you. His footsteps moved slowly through the cottage. She was supposed to marry my father, but she got cold feet. Ran away with that pathetic man who became your father instead. I heard him moving furniture, searching. Do you know what happened to her, Summer? Really happened? My blood turned to ice. My mother had died in a car accident when I was 12. Everyone knew that. The brakes on her car were cut. My father was disappointed by her betrayal. He'd invested so much in their relationship, you see. No, that couldn't be true. But you. Oliver's voice grew warmer, more intimate. You're different. Stronger. You won't run away from your destiny like she did. A board creaked right outside the bookshelf. He was close. I've been watching you for years, Summer. Falling in love with your spirit, your intelligence. Even before you started fighting back against everyone, I could see the fire in you. The bookshelf rattled. He was testing it. Ryan never deserved you. He was just using you as a placeholder until he could figure out how to save his precious Chelsea. But I've loved you since the moment I first saw you. My phone suddenly buzzed. Somehow a text had gotten through. Safe room compromised. Trust no one. Basement tunnel leads to main road. Our Ryan was alive. Thank God. Ah, there it is. The bookshelf began to swing open. I didn't wait to see Oliver's face. I bolted for the back corner of the safe room where Ryan had apparently hidden another exit. My fingers found a handle recessed into the floor, a trapdoor. Summer, don't make this difficult, Oliver called as I disappeared into the tunnel below. The passage was narrow and dark, but I could see light at the far end. I crawled as fast as I could, ignoring the scrapes on my knees and palms. Behind me, I heard Oliver drop into the tunnel. You can't escape destiny, darling. The tunnel exit emerged behind some bushes near the main road. I burst out into daylight just as a familiar black sedan screeched to a halt beside me. Get in. Ryan shouted from the driver's seat, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead but very much alive. I dove into the passenger seat as Oliver emerged from the bushes behind us, his perfect composure finally cracked. His face was twisted with rage. This isn't over, he screamed as Ryan floored it. You belong to me, Summer. You always have. Are you hurt? Ryan asked, checking me over while navigating the winding mountain road at dangerous speeds. I'm fine. But Ryan, he said. He said his father killed my mother. Ryan's jaw tightened. I believe it. The Williams family has been above the law for decades. Too much money, too many connections. We have to stop him. We will. But first we need backup. Ryan pulled out a satellite phone. I'm calling in some favors. People who owe me and aren't afraid of the Williams family. As he made his calls, I stared out at the landscape rushing by. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, had been a lie. My mother hadn't died in an accident she'd been murdered for, refusing to be collected like a piece of art. And now Oliver wanted to finish what his father had started. Summer. Ryan's voice was gentle. We're going to end this. I promise. I looked at him, this man who'd started as my enemy and become... What? My protector? My partner? Something more? When this is over, I said quietly, we need to talk about what's real between us. Ryan's eyes met mine briefly before returning to the road. When this is over, we'll have all the time in the world. But first, we had to survive Oliver Williams and his obsession with completing his family's twisted legacy. The real battle was just beginning. Ryan's favors turned out to be a small army. We met them at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, 12 men and women who looked like they could handle themselves in any situation. Military backgrounds, by the look of them. Summer, meet my security team, Ryan said as we walked into the warehouse. They've been investigating the Williams family for months. A tall woman with short blonde hair stepped forward. I'm Sarah Morrison, former FBI. We've been building a case against Oliver Williams, but we needed evidence of his current crimes, not just his father's. What do you have so far? I asked. Sarah pulled out a tablet and showed me a complex web of connections. 3 missing women over the past 5 years, all of whom had rejected Oliver's romantic advances. Financial records showing payments to various criminal organizations. And now, kidnapping and attempted murder charges from today. But he's always been careful, added a dark-haired man I recognized as Marcus, Ryan's head of security. Never directly involved, always using intermediaries. Until now, Ryan said grimly. His obsession with Summer made him sloppy. We have him on video orchestrating the warehouse attack. So what's the plan? I asked. Sarah smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. We draw him out. Make him think he's won. The plan was simple but dangerous. I would appear to surrender to Oliver, wearing a wire and a GPS tracker, while the team positioned themselves around his estate. Once they had evidence of him confessing to his crimes, they'd move in. Absolutely not, Ryan said when Sarah finished explaining. I'm not using Summer as bait. It's the only way, I argued. He's obsessed with me. He'll want to gloat to explain everything. Men like him always do. Summer Ryan, he killed my mother. He's destroyed other women's lives. This ends now. After an hour of argument, Ryan finally agreed on the condition that he'd be close enough to reach me if things went wrong. 2 hours later, I stood outside the Williams family estate, my hands zipped behind my back loosely, and with a hidden knife, while Oliver's men escorted me to the front door. The mansion was even more imposing up-close Gothic architecture that belonged in a horror movie. Gargoyles leered down from the corners, and the windows were like empty eyes. Oliver waited in the foyer, having changed into an expensive suit. He looked every inch the refined gentleman, except for his eyes. They burned with a possessive intensity that made my skin crawl. Summer, he said warmly, as if we were meeting for a dinner date instead of my kidnapping. Welcome home. This isn't my home. It will be. He gestured for his men to leave us alone. Come, let me show you something. He led me through ornate hallways lined with portraits generations of Williams' men and their wives. I noticed that many of the women looked terrified, even in their formal wedding photos. My great-grandmother, Oliver said, stopping in front of one portrait. She tried to run away 3 times before she accepted her place in the family. Eventually, she learned to love my great-grandfather. Stockholm Syndrome isn't love. Oliver's smile faltered slightly. You're much more spirited than your mother. She broke too easily. My blood boiled. Tell me about my mother. Shall we sit? He guided me to an opulent sitting room. Sarah was magnificent. Beautiful, intelligent, passionate. My father courted her for 2 years. Stalked her, you mean? Loved her, Oliver corrected firmly. But she was influenced by outside forces. That weak man she married poisoned her against us. So, your father had her killed. Oliver's expression remained pleasant, but something cold flickered in his eyes. My father was a man who didn't accept failure. When Sarah chose unwisely, he corrected the situation. The wire hidden in my collar was getting every word. And you think I'll just accept being your prisoner? Not a prisoner. My wife. Oliver leaned forward eagerly. I've had years to plan this summer. You'll have everything you could want: clothes, jewelry, travel. All I ask is your companionship. And if I refuse? His mask slipped completely. Then you'll learn why refusal isn't an option. Just like the others did. What others? Oliver stood and walked to a cabinet, pulling out a photo album. Let me show you my previous attempts at companionship. The photos were horrifying. Women in designer clothes and expensive jewelry, but with dead eyes and bruises carefully concealed by makeup. The final photos in each section showed them looking completely broken. Rebecca lasted 2 years before she stopped fighting, Oliver said conversationally. Amanda made it 18 months. Jessica was more stubborn 3 years before she accepted her fate. Where are they now? They're at peace. His tone suggested they were very much not alive. My earpiece crackled softly, the signal that the team was in position. You're insane, I said, backing toward the window. I prefer dedicated. Oliver moved to block my escape route. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your stay? Or would you prefer to learn compliance the hard way? That's when Ryan crashed through the window. Glass exploded everywhere as he rolled into the room, gun drawn. Get away from her. Oliver pulled his own weapon with surprising speed. I should have killed you at the cottage. You should have, Ryan agreed. But you were too obsessed with your prize to finish the job. The two men circled each other while I dove behind a couch for cover. She belongs to me, Oliver snarled, his refined facade completely gone now. It's destiny. It's blood debt. She belongs to herself, Ryan replied calmly. Something your family never understood. The first gunshot shattered a priceless vase. The second one found its target. Oliver stumbled backward, clutching his shoulder where Ryan's bullet had struck. Blood seeped between his fingers, but his eyes remained fixed on me with that terrifying intensity. You don't understand, he gasped, still gripping his gun. She's not just any woman. She's... Drop the weapon. Sarah and her team burst through the doors, weapons trained on Oliver. But Oliver was beyond reason now. She's my half-sister. The words hit me like a physical blow. The room spun as everyone froze. What? I whispered. Oliver's laugh was bitter and slightly hysterical. Did you think it was coincidence? The obsession? The connection I felt? He swayed on his feet but kept talking. My father didn't just court your mother, Summer. He raped her. You're a Williams by blood. You're lying, Ryan said, but his voice wavered. DNA doesn't lie. Oliver reached into his jacket with his good hand, pulling out a folder. I've had tests run on samples from your coffee cups, your hair from the salon. We share the same father. I couldn't breathe. That's impossible. My father, David Vanderbilt, is the man who raised you, not the man who sired you. Oliver's eyes were wild now. My father took what he wanted from your mother, and when she fled to that weakling, he let her go temporarily. Until you came of age. Sarah stepped closer, weapon still raised. Even if that's true, it doesn't justify everything. Oliver screamed. It justifies everything. She's mine by right of blood. The Williams bloodline must continue. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The fake heart condition, I said slowly. Chelsea. You orchestrated all of it to separate me from Ryan. Chelsea was a useful idiot. Easy to manipulate with money and promises. Oliver's strength was failing, but his voice remained vicious. But you kept fighting back. You weren't supposed to be strong enough to fight back. Because you didn't know me at all, I said, standing up from behind the couch. You fell in love with an idea, not a person. I fell in love with perfection. Oliver raised his gun toward me with shaking hands. We could have been perfect together. Ryan moved faster than I'd ever seen anyone move. He tackled Oliver just as the gun fired, the bullet going wild and shattering a chandelier overhead. The two men crashed to the floor, fighting for control of the weapon. Oliver might have been wounded, but desperation gave him strength. Summer, get out. Ryan shouted as they rolled across broken glass. But I couldn't leave him. Instead, I grabbed a heavy crystal paperweight from a nearby table and brought it down on Oliver's wrist. He screamed and released the gun, which skittered across the marble floor. Sarah kicked it away while two of her men hauled Oliver to his feet. Oliver Williams, you're under arrest for kidnapping, attempted murder, conspiracy, and about a dozen other charges, Sarah said as they cuffed him. Oliver looked at me one last time. And for a moment, his mask of refinement returned. This isn't over, sister. Blood calls to blood. You'll come to understand what you really are. I know exactly what I am, I said firmly. I'm not a Williams. I'm Summer Vanderbilt, and I choose my own destiny. As they dragged him away, Oliver's laughter echoed through the mansion until the heavy doors cut it off. Ryan pulled me into his arms, both of us shaking from adrenaline and shock. Are you hurt? He asked, checking me over for injuries. I'm okay. But Ryan? What if he's telling the truth? About the DNA? Ryan cupped my face in his hands. It doesn't matter. How can it not matter? If we're related, you're not related to me, he said firmly. And even if Oliver is your biological half-brother, that doesn't make you him. It doesn't make you responsible for his crimes or his family's history. I wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at me. What if there's something wrong with me? Some genetic predisposition to what? Being brave enough to fight back against people who tried to hurt you? Being strong enough to survive everything you've been through? Ryan's voice was gentle but certain. Summer, I've seen who you really are. You're nothing like them. Sarah approached us carefully. We found something else you should know about. She handed me another folder. Oliver's medical records. He's been on antipsychotic medication for years, but stopped taking it 6 months ago. His obsession with you became completely delusional. I scanned the documents. Bipolar disorder, paranoid delusions, a history of stalking behavior that went back to his teens. He's sick, I said quietly. Sick, yes. But responsible for his choices, Sarah replied. Mental illness doesn't excuse what he did to you or those other women. As we left the Williams estate, I felt like I was walking away from more than just a building. I was leaving behind the fear that had defined the last few weeks of my life. But new questions remained. Ryan, I said as we drove back toward the city, we need to talk about what's real between us. He glanced at me, his expression unreadable. What do you mean? I took a deep breath. How much of what you feel for me is because I changed? Because I became different from the woman you married? Ryan was quiet for a long moment. You want the truth? Please. The woman I married was beautiful and kind, but she was also scared of her own shadow. I respected her, but I didn't love her. He paused. The woman you became the one who fought back, who refused to be a victim, who saved my life more than once, that's the woman I fell in love with. But what if I change back? What if, without all the danger and drama, I become boring again? Ryan pulled over and turned to face me fully. Summer, do you want to know what made me realize I loved you? I nodded. It wasn't when you slapped Chelsea or when you stood up to me. It was when you sat beside my hospital bed and took care of me when I had a fever. When you thought I was unconscious and told me you were scared but that you wouldn't let anything happen to me. His eyes were soft. That's when I knew you weren't just strong, you were kind and brave and protective of the people you cared about. Tears started to fall before I could stop them. I was so scared you only wanted me because I was different. I want you because you're you. All of you. The scared parts and the brave parts and everything in between. He leaned over and kissed me, soft and gentle and full of promise. When we broke apart, I had one more question. So what happens now? Ryan smiled. Now we go home. We figure out how to be married for real instead of as part of some scheme or conspiracy. We take it one day at a time. And if more of Oliver's family comes looking for revenge, then we'll face it together. He took my hand. If you want to, that is. I thought about everything that had brought us to this moment. The fake wedding, the lies, the danger, the fear. But also the trust we'd built, the way he'd protected me, the way I'd learned to stand up for myself. I want to, I said. But on one condition. Name it. No more secrets. About anything. If we're going to make this work, we tell each other the truth, even when it's scary. Deal. Ryan started the car again. In that case, I should probably mention that I've been in love with you since that first night when you called me husband and then got embarrassed about it. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. And I should probably mention that I've been reading romance novels since I was 15, so I have very high expectations for our happily ever after. Challenge accepted, Ryan said with a grin. As we drove toward our future together, I realized that sometimes the best love stories are the ones where you have to fight for your happy ending. And we had definitely earned ours. Epilogue 6 months later, I stood in the renovated pink bedroom that Ryan had surprised me with, putting the finishing touches on my makeup. Tonight was our real wedding, the one where we actually wanted to marry each other. Are you ready? Chelsea asked from behind me. I turned in surprise. Chelsea? What are you doing here? My former stepsister looked genuinely remorseful for the first time in her life. Ryan asked me to come. He said you might want closure before you start your new life. After Oliver's arrest, the truth about Chelsea's fake illness had come out completely. She'd been facing fraud charges until Ryan had inexplicably dropped them, asking only that she get therapy and stay away from us. I don't know what to say, I admitted. You don't have to say anything. I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not just because I got caught, but because I was so jealous of you that I lost sight of what was right. She held out a small wrapped box. This was our mother's. Your real mother's. I found it in Dad's things after he was arrested. Inside was a delicate silver locket with my mother's picture. Sarah Vanderbilt, smiling and young and full of life. She would have been proud of you, Chelsea said quietly. The way you fought back. The way you refused to be anyone's victim. Before I could respond, there was a knock on the door. Summer? You ready? Ryan's voice called from the hallway. Almost. I called back, then turned to Chelsea. Thank you. For this, and for trying to make things right. Chelsea nodded and slipped out the back door, leaving me alone with my thoughts. A few minutes later, I walked down the aisle of the small garden ceremony we'd planned. No massive guest list, no political alliances, just our closest friends and the family members who actually cared about us. Ryan waited for me at the altar, looking devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo. But more than that, he looked happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Do you, Ryan Matthews, take Summer Vanderbilt to be your wife? To love, honor, and cherish her, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, for as long as you both shall live? I do, Ryan said, his eyes never leaving mine. Do you, Summer Vanderbilt, take Ryan Matthews to be your husband? To love, honor, and cherish him, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, for as long as you both shall live? I thought about everything that had brought us to this moment. The fear, the lies, the danger, but also the trust, the love, the way we'd learned to fight for each other. I do, I said, meaning it with every fiber of my being. When Ryan kissed me, it felt like coming home and starting an adventure all at the same time. As we walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, I caught sight of Oliver Williams in the newspaper someone had left on a nearby table. The headline read, "Williams family heir sentenced to life in prison." I didn't feel triumph or revenge looking at his photo. I felt pity for a man who'd never learned that love can't be forced or collected or owned. But mostly, I felt grateful. Grateful for the strength I'd found, for the man beside me, and for the chance to write my own story instead of living out someone else's twisted fantasy. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked as we posed for photos. "I'm thinking," I said, standing on my tiptoes to whisper in his ear, "that this is the part where we live happily ever after." Ryan's smile was brighter than the afternoon sun. "I was hoping you'd say that." And for once in my life, I knew with absolute certainty that some stories really do have perfect endings. The end Summer Vanderbilt learned that sometimes you have to fight for your happy ending, but when you find real love, the kind based on mutual respect, trust, and genuine partnership, it's worth every battle. Ryan Matthews discovered that the best marriages aren't built on convenience or manipulation, but on choosing each other every day, especially when things get difficult. As for Oliver Williams, he remained in prison, finally receiving the mental health treatment he should have gotten years earlier. Some stories end with redemption, others with justice, and a few with both. But the best stories? They end with love winning over fear, truth conquering lies, and two people brave enough to build something real together.